Now, speaking of pandemic problems, the coronavirus not just causing trouble, but actively exacerbating previously existing issues as well. And analysts are alleging that the education system particularly has been hard hit. Joining to discuss is Dr. Varda Shiffer, Senior Research Fellow at the Van Leer Jerusalem Institute. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. It's a pleasure. But the claim is that Israel's schools are already lagging far behind OECD averages, but that now all of those issues have been aggravated and exaggerated. How would you respond?
I didn't see any research, comparing Israel with other OECD countries after the pandemic has started. But I think, yes, the pandemic brings out very basic long-term issues of the system. And I must say here, I am not an expert in pedagogic questions or curricular questions. I deal with educational policy. Right. And I think what is required now of teachers, of principals, are innovative idea, creativity, entrepreneurial attitudes, versatility. And this stands in opposition, in direct opposition to the culture and the ethos of the education system, which is a very centralized system, something that I think Americans cannot even imagine. It is based on command and comply, like a very traditional bureaucratic system. Everything goes from the center in Jerusalem via regional offices directly to every single principal. And if a principal wishes now to go on a hybrid kind of operation, partly in school, partly long distance kind of teaching, he or she need to get from the ministry an approval to do that. So how can anybody be under such circumstances, very creative and entrepreneurial? And I think this is one of the main problems.
Well, so these are issues. Yeah. So I mean, I was just going to ask: are these issues that seemingly predated coronavirus? Did coronavirus make these issues worse, or did they maybe just make them more obvious?
No, they make them more obvious. I think that it brings out the major problems that the system now has, and it makes it very, very difficult to adapt to the new situation, because the system is not capable of adapting itself very quickly, not even very slowly,
do you think
to changing circumstances.
Do you think that the education ministry has been, at least in the last 7 months, has been doing better, has been on a positive track? Or, have you really not seen any evidence of positive or negative consequences either way?
Well, I see currently, in the last month or so, because don't forget, this current government is in place about 6 months or a bit more. The Director General, originally appointed by the minister, has been dismissed. So we have a new Director General now. And what I see now in the past few weeks, actually, are attempts to make changes. And I'm actually quite optimistic, because it's for the first time for a long time that we have a minister who comes from education, who knows about education, who's very caring about the education system, and a Director General who has been there before, knows the system very well, and really benefits now, I think, from the fact that she was out of the system for a while, looked at it from the outside, and is now coming back and doesn't need a very, very long period of learning the system. And I see that they have already set up committees. There are consultations going on to, I think, address some of those problems that I pointed out. One is the inability to give powers and redistribute authority with other factors or other institutions that are closer to the schools themselves. And the other one, which I did not mention yet, is the problem of cooperating. You know, in a very traditional bureaucratic system, it's very difficult to cooperate with outside forces and with other institutions. And I think cooperation with local authorities, for example, is absolutely needed and required right now in order to find solutions. So I must say I am a bit more optimistic, but these are major issues. They're not going to be changed, you know, in a few days. And meanwhile, what we have is a crisis.
All right, Dr. Varda Shiffer, thank you for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.